Hey, I want to talk to you about a couple of time saver things, particularly when it comes to grinding, stripping, metal prep, whatever it is that you're doing that involves, in particular, an angle grinder. Um, get yourself a couple of those, maybe even three, and load them up with whatever disc that you're using. This flat disc right here has been loaded on one of my Harbor Freight angle grinders. And so far, this is the only disc that I've used, and it still has a lot more bite. I use an 80 grit that I've been stripping the old paint off of this trailer, as well as grinding down the bare rust to get to the surface, to get to a clean metal surface so I could do the priming and the prepping. Now, of course, on a trailer, you've got areas where you have 90-degree angles, for instance, where you cannot get a round circular disc into at all. Well, that's when you get your other one and load it up with the steel wire wheel. This one is cup shaped, and for the nice broad surfaces, it actually does fantastic when you just press the whole thing on the surface and lightly work it back and forth. On my low-hanging fruit where I did the aluminum box, that's what I did initially. But also turning it on its edge allows you to get deep into the recesses and corners, places that your flat disc would not allow you to get. So they're fantastic. And these are affordable enough at the Harbor Freight store. I guess I could say Harbor Freight. So anyway, I'm not sponsored by them. I just buy a lot of their tools because they are affordable and they work. So call it a shameless plug if you want to. At any rate, shucks, 2 or 3 of these, add it to your shop thing, load it up with whichever disc that you need to do the job. Really facilitates changing from one type of grinding or buffing situation to another. And it's pretty doggone affordable. Now, with that, here comes the other part, the safety part. Like, what? You talking about safety? Look, it wasn't that long ago that my brother and I used to do things that nobody would probably think about doing. I had a 64 Impala Super Sport. Yeah, loved that car. That was my grandfather's car that I was fortunate enough to buy. That was my very first car. And we had a concrete pad at this one house that we lived in. So we would perform all of the maintenance work on that concrete pad. Didn't have a hydraulic jack, just had the bumper jack and a few stray Braco blocks, cinder blocks. You know where this is going. So when the starter goes out on your car and you're sitting there needing to replace your starter, you did what you had to do. I've had 2 Braco blocks stacked up there and had that 64 up in the air high enough to work on getting your starter off, and just sat there underneath it and watched that jack rock back and forth as I tugged on the bolts to get the starter off the car. Sketchy. Yeah, very sketchy. As time progressed, I recognized the need to get stronger and better and safer equipment, and finally stamped steel jack stands. I even bought a set of ramps and, thought I was really, really professional. So now here I am, 63 years old, and I got more jack stands than you could imagine, all of them rated for everything heavier than what I have. I have hydraulic jacks capable of lifting everything that I have up off the floor securely to put them on the stand securely. So let's quickly talk about some other safety equipment for your personal self, not just for getting crushed, but for the everyday task of breathing and coming away from your project with all of your digits. Hey, no offense to anybody that's lost a few. I know some guys that has happened to. But when you're doing this type of work, this grinding work, this taking this material off of this trailer, you run into some nasty stuff. And these airborne particles, face it, if they're in the air, and if you have nothing on your face to protect you, you're going to breathe it in. I have a respirator that I've been using since I started this project. Later on, I'm going to show you what I haven't been breathing compared to a brand new filter. It is amazing, the stuff that I used to do that I don't do anymore. So you're grinding, you're welding, wood, metal, doesn't matter. Get a respirator. Don't breathe that stuff in. Your lungs were meant to handle air, not solid particles, especially metals, especially toxic gases. Get you one. Use it. Eye protection. Yes, if you have glasses, your polycarbonate lenses probably help protect you, but you can go one better and get these if they go over your glasses, or you can get a full face shield or a welding helmet. I have all of them, depending on what I do and what I choose to do. It's a rainy, foggy day. My glasses fog up because of the heat, moisture that I produce just behind my big, expensive glasses. Yeah, I paid a lot of money for these things. I should be able to see the craters on the moon. But get some eye protection, especially when you're doing this with this wire wheel, because these things sling off pieces of steel that are flying at up to, 12,000 RPM. Last thing you want to happen is to have a sliver of steel in your eye. I know, because I've done it. Painful. And it actually shot up underneath a full face shield, which was even more unbelievable. I know what you're saying, okay, so if that happened to you, why wear it? Wear it, trust me. You absolutely need it. Gloves, work gloves, they're cheap, they're inexpensive, protect your hands. Like I said, I can't tell you how many times I've had the gloves on and accidentally come off of the workpiece and not realizing where I laid the grinder, which is still rotating, right on my hand or right near my finger, only to have it scuff the glove up. But it scuffed the glove, not my finger. So that's the important stuff you need to remember. Get the proper safety equipment. Use it. It's no good hanging up on the tool rack somewhere, sitting in your toolbox, or laying on the floor. Use it so that you can get out there and do this stuff again and again and again. So there you got it. That's the safety video for today.